It's now time to talk to Lachy Reid of Channel 9 Perth after he broke the story today that Mason Jones, a key signing just before the start of the NBL 25/26 season, has departed the club. Lachy, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, boys. Lachy Reid, Channel 10, mate, too, by the way.
What did I say?
9.
Did I?
Nine.
you know I'm a 9 man, so I'm a 10 man when I'm talking to you, though, Lachy.
Hey, Lock. I heard it. I thought, when did I move?
No. Hey, Lock, it's amazing you're still breaking stories at your age.
Very true, mate. Very true. Big bombshell today.
That's big news. I spoke to John Riley on Tuesday, and he sounded like they were going to stick with this man that they signed just before the season started, let him get his feet and his grounding, and he's gone by the Friday.
Yeah, it is quite amazing. I mean, you would have thought maybe he'd get a little bit more time, but possibly on Wednesday night they just saw things that this team wasn't advancing, albeit they were 3-1 going into the game against Brisbane. But to be honest, gents, that was the worst performance I've seen from a Wildcats team in about 10 years. They didn't come with any intensity. Their defence was absolutely horrible, and it just looked a little disjointed. So maybe that's what the management and the coaching staff saw, and they thought, well, we've got to make a move and try and improve this team. They probably had a luxury of too many guards, and unfortunately Mason's the import. If he's not putting up 15 to 20 points and he's only averaging 9, then he's the one that had to go.
And the D is where they've actually stood up for most of the season. It's the offense that hasn't quite clicked for them. Hey, Lachy, and also in regards to this, do you feel personally this is the right decision?
Look, I think a lovely bloke, and I've dealt with him since he started the season. Just one of the nicest people I've met in sport. So I'm disappointed, I'm sad for him, but I just think with this team, they need a point guard. They don't need another two-man who wants to score the basket. I mean, they brought back Ben Henschel. He needs to be the Bryce. No one can ever be Bryce, but he needs to play in the position that Bryce used to play in, and they need to go and get a guy that's going to facilitate, be able to get the ball into Joe Luala-Chul a bit more, be able to set up, Windler and Doolittle, and also Ben Henschel and make them better players. At the moment, Jaron Riley's doing that job, but he just hasn't got the experience when the real good teams come along and the playoffs come along. So, right move in terms of the roster, just sad for the individual himself.
So how do we line the Cats up? They're paid 5, 3 and 2, but I see to win the competition outright, they're out at $10.
Yeah, well, it must have dragged out a little bit because it's not a bad start to the season, 3-1. Their defence has certainly improved since last year. Look, I'll throw this to you, and this is something that's happened over the last 5 years or so. The last 2 times they've sacked an import in the middle or during a season, they've gone on to win the championship. So history says they make the right call the second time round. If you think back to Jaron Johnson, he got sacked, and a bloke called Bryce Cotton came to town. And then more recently, Dario Hunt was playing for the Perth Wildcats. He got dumped, and Miles Plumbley came in and they won the title. So, look, they've been brave enough to make the decision. They must think that they weren't going to win the title with what they've got, and they'll now look around. It's probably good timing because players start getting dumped from NBA teams now because the season's not far away, and there's even some players from Europe that would be looking for gigs. So I think they've made this call. The only problem is they've got 3 games over the next 7 days, and they won't have an import, from what I'm told, until then.
Yeah, okay, interesting stuff. Now, he did receive a tech foul as well on Wednesday night. Do you think that had anything to do with the decision made? You say he seemed like a really good character, and from what we could see on the social media channels and whatnot, we can all back that up. But do you think there was any issue there with John Riley, who seems to have his issue with some players?
No, I don't think so. I just don't think it was meshing, and probably a good thing maybe that the Brisbane game was such a shocker that maybe it brought out what they might have been thinking, and then they gave them a reason to go, okay, we need to make a move now. So, yeah, look, I haven't been told there were any issues. Yes, that was, I think, a bit of frustration from Mason himself, that he probably thought he would come to town and be a dominant player, and he hasn't been to date. And he did have a pretty good third term, to be honest. It was probably his best game, or at least his best half of basketball on Wednesday night. But ironically, only a day or two later, in fact, less than 24 hours later, he'd been told that he'd been released from his contract. So, look, I think they'll look around. This guy's not a point guard, but a guy called Ian Clark, I know, has been on the radar for a little bit of time, and he's also been one player that's come into other teams and had success straight away. Played with Golden State, won championships there, and has won championships in the NBL. So keep an eye out for him, but he's not a natural point guard. So I'm not sure he's going to be the man, but, I know that they've been interested in him in recent times.
Okay, Locke, what about a holistic look at this table ladder as it now stands, with most teams having played 5, 6 or 4 games? So we're getting a bit of a look at them. United atop 5 from 5. Talk, I think it was David Lowry, wasn't it, or someone who said they'll go through undefeated. 36ers in second. Jack Jumpers, they've been beaten today, haven't they? Yes. The Breakers given it to them, and the Wildcats are in 4th. Phoenix, they copped a nice belting today from the Volcano. He described them the worst team in Australia of any sport.
Yes,
he went and watched them play.
It's unlike him to go all one way, isn't it?
At about 6:06 in the morning. Imagine the coach of the Phoenix when he heard it having his cornflakes. He would have been rapping. Yeah, so what do you think? How do you sum it up at this early stage, or how do you project at this early stage?
Yeah, Melbourne are the best team in the comp at the moment. Doesn't mean they'll win the championship. As we saw last year, they were pretty much the best team for most of the year. They've got a great coach. He knows how to put the team together and also get them together on the court. I think this move from the Wildcats can be make or break for them. If they get the right man, then they've got the best roster, in my opinion, in the competition. That doesn't always mean success, but it goes a long way to putting together a pretty successful season. So just have to make the right move on that. Sydney is a bit of a team where I'm just not sure where they're at the moment. They've got the talent, but don't seem to be gelling often enough, and any team with Bryce Cotton in it is going to be a contender. So they're the sort of teams that I think will be thereabouts. Scott Roth always coaches a great team. I'm just not sure his team and roster can go all the way to a championship win. They might be finals contenders. But at the moment, I'm thinking Melbourne, they're ahead of everyone. They're the team to catch. And I think if Perth make the right call on this one, they can still be amongst it when the serious stuff gets underway.
On the Wildcats, sounds like they'll get Sunday Deck back this week.
Yeah, he'll be back. He obviously missed the start of the season with a calf injury, so he'll be a handy addition. The only problem is it's another guard, isn't it? They've got to find minutes for Henshaw. They've got to find minutes for Pepper, Lat Mayen as well, and then I think Sunday will be on restricted minutes, probably play 10 minutes a game over the next 2 or 3, and then he'll be back into it. But he'll be handy come the Bryce game and the Chris Golding game, and those teams that have the real good scorers. Sunday's going to be a really handy player when it gets serious like that, and he'll have had games under his belt as well. So look forward to seeing him stand alongside Bryce when Wildcats play Adelaide in a few weeks' time.
Locke, I know you're a big fan of the theatre of basketball. I think it was pretty disappointing for the NBL not to schedule a Adelaide Perth Wildcats game at RAC Arena early on in the season. It feels like when we get to that game eventually, it'll sort of have a little bit of a lack of the fizz that it would have had at the start of the season.
Yeah, Sammy, I agree. I was surprised that it wasn't in the first couple of rounds. Maybe not the first round. I would have loved it to have been the first round, but you want Bryce, fully fit and ready to go. Like about now would have been the perfect time to bring Adelaide to town. And I'm surprised they probably didn't play the first game between the two teams in Perth. So, yes, I was a little surprised by that, but they're going to stretch it out. We're going to milk it as much as possible. And at some stage, Bryce will probably come to town and will possibly score 60. Yeah. And you can imagine Bryce, the day that he walks into that stadium, that night or afternoon, whenever they're going to play Adelaide come to town, he's going to walk in and go, I'm putting 60 on this place. And it's going to be a lot of fun doing it. And unfortunately, no matter how good a defender you are, I reckon he's just going to run straight past you and score. So it'll be exciting to see. It'll be
in front of a full RAC arena as well. Looking forward to that. Jason of Swanview has this text off the Retrovision text line for you, Locke. Do the Wildcats go after Pat Beverley now to stiffen up the defence and run the offence? There was talk of signing him before they signed Jones, and I think I heard a question. I'm not sure if it was from you today to John Riley in his media conference, but he shut that down pretty quickly, didn't he?
He did, yeah. I did ask him about that. There was talk of the Wildcats being offered Pat Beverley, and John really said to me straight down the camera, said, no, I'd never heard of that, and I'd never spoken to anyone about Pat Beverley. So, look, I don't know whether they need that type of player. It would be great. It would sell tickets, but I just think they need a rock-solid point guard. I mean, yes, we can talk about Paddy Mills. What's he doing now? We can talk about Ben Simmons, but they're on serious coin, and I'm just not sure that they're the type of players. I mean, yes, you would take them, but I'm not sure they're the type of players that they'd be chasing. They'll want someone rock-solid who can make this team better and do all the right things by the people that they've got on the roster so far. So, hopefully they get the right player because they certainly need to.
Hey, Locke, as we let you go to those studios at Channel 10, Perth Wildcats
Yes.
$2.55, the Sydney Kings are $1.52 on Sunday. Do the Cats, are they surprised to get this done with a 4.5-point start or not?
I think they'll be revved up from Wednesday night. It was a shocker, and I reckon they would have been, really disappointed with the performance. I think they're a chance. I think Ben Henschel needs to play more minutes. That's why they got him back. He's on the verge of something special, I reckon, Ben Henschel, and they need to just give time and put him in positions where he can score some points. And I reckon he can be a 15 to 20 point per game. Doolittle will get better. He's had 2 average weeks. We're comparing him to what he did last year and the start of the season, but he'll get better as well. So, I'll give him a chance. I don't think Sydney are playing great basketball. I think they've got a little bit of chemistry to work out. So it might be the right time for the Cats to get themselves back on the winners list.
Lachy Reid of Channel 10 Perth, thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
No worries, boys. Good to speak to you.